Well, the weather is finally starting to cool off a little bit, so it's a great day to get out and get some garden chores done, work in the garden for quite a while without having to break too much of a sweat. So that's what we're going to get done today. Hey guys, welcome back to another Slightly Rednecked video. Again, my name's Chris. If you're not familiar with this channel, I help you to produce your own meat, eggs, and vegetables from your backyard, your balcony, your deck, your garage, or heck, even a spare room in your house if that's the way you want to do it. Today I'm going to be working in the garden. I'm trying to get this all cleaned out. You might be able to tell it is a jungle behind me. The weeds have really taken over the garden this year. So it's a good day. It's not too hot out. You get out here, do a lot of work in the garden. I don't know if I'll get it all done today or not, but first things first, I got to get all this junk out of here and so I can get to the ground, get the weeds cleared out. It's going to be a big task, but let's get started. All right, something pretty cool I thought I'd show you guys here as we digging it through the garden stuff. Caught a little baby tiny garter snake here. This is a eastern garter snake, I believe. Completely harmless, not gonna hurt anything at all. They're just beautiful little snakes in my opinion. Got that red, kind of checkered. I don't know how well that's showing up in camera, but just a neat little creature to have in your garden. These things feed on slugs and a lot of your garden pests, so they're good to have around. I'm gonna keep him in the garden here. Just got him out to play with him here for a second. Not venomous, not harmful, completely harmless to us, not even really aggressive. He hasn't even tried to bite me or anything. Their defense is really, you can see the goo on my finger here, is really to defecate on you. So that's what he's done. And it kind of smells kind of bad, but still, neat little creature to have in the garden. He's calmed down quite a bit now. He was just hiding under some of the debris whenever we picked it up. So great to see, love it. That means I've got a healthy ecosystem around here. I'm gonna let him go over here in the weeds so that we don't disturb him anymore. All right, you can probably already tell, looks a ton better. So we spent some time, we got all the just the junk I had in here out. Got a bunch of rocks I used to weight things down, got those all out, got the tomato cages and all that kind of stuff out of here. And then what I did is I went and marked out my beds with fence posts back in the back, but I ran out of fence posts, so I got some, you probably can't see it in the ground here, but it's rebar just sticking out of the ground about that high, just on the corners of the beds. And I've raked all the mulch off the beds because I'm going to be laying down landscape fabric. I don't really need mulch on top of the beds. But that Bermuda grass has really crept in and done a job. So I did go over this whole thing with the weed eater to knock everything down. Normally I would recommend not doing that because Bermuda grass and this vine that I had growing in here, those will produce off the, I mean, you chop it up in little bits and you're going to get hundreds of little starts of plants basically. But all this is going to be covered with landscape fabric to tarp it off, so it's not going to matter. None of that stuff's going to grow. It's going to suppress all of it. Again, what I've done is just rake the beds off, so down to the dirt basically, and now I'm going to go through with the flame torch here and just burn off the weeds that are in here. And the next plan, I don't know if I'm going to get it today because it looks like rain. It may rain me out, but after that, I'm going to be laying down some amendments. So basically, that's just going to be some rabbit manure, some quail manure, and some compost. Just a thin layer of rabbit manure, and then a thin layer of compost just over the beds themselves where I'm going to be planting, and then the whole thing will get landscape fabric all over it. But again, I don't know how much of that will get done today. So I'm going to get to work with this flame torch here and get these beds all cleaned out. Well, it turned into a two-day ordeal. I couldn't quite get it all done yesterday. but finished up today on preparing the beds anyway. And again, what I've done with the beds is, you know, I went over them with the flamethrower, killed all the weeds on them, and then I went and put rabbit manure, a layer of rabbit manure down on these front 3 beds here, because if I do get a fall garden in, I want to be able to plant into it right away. Rabbit manure is good for that. It's a great fertilizer, and it's a cold manure, so you can plant into it right away. So these will be my fall beds. I ran out of rabbit manure, so the beds back in the back of the garden, they all have quail manure on them, a layer of quail manure down on the ground. By spring, that stuff will be composted down enough, it won't be so hot anymore, and it'll be ready to plant into. And then I went over all the beds, put about a 1/4 inch of sifted compost, finished compost on top of all the beds, so they're good to go. Now, the garden's looking pretty good right now, nice and clean, but I got to get it covered, because if I don't cover it, all those weeds are going to come right back. So I've got some landscape fabric I'm going to lay down over the entire bed. I don't know if I have enough to get it all done today, but I'm going to go ahead and get as much as I can, and then we'll see how it goes from there. All right, so to lay this weed fabric down is pretty simple, really. I just weight it down on one end. I stick a rebar through it so I can just unroll it as I go. And I'm just going to go down as far as this thing will go, and I'll come back and staple it in. Well, it's been a lot of work, but I think I'm finally just about finished. I got a little bit left to do, not much. Peppers are still going, so I didn't want to pull them out of the ground, so I've got that section there to go ahead and get finished up. And then there's one little section back in the back corner there that I just didn't have enough landscape fabric in the roll that I had open to cover, so I'll get that done whenever I finish this up after the peppers are done. But I may end up having to go through and put some straw mulch or something on the top of this landscape fabric to keep it held down. The staples are just not quite long enough to go all the way into the ground through all the mulch I've already got on the ground. So we'll see how that holds up. I may end up having to do that, but no big deal if I do. And anyway, I think that's about wrapping this video up. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And as always, God bless.